Ta-da! We made it to my last video in my sleep series all about supplements. This is the first part of my 8-part series where I'm talking about all different aspects of sleep and how to get better sleep and the tools, techniques, methods, things that I use and have tried out to get better sleep. So this video rounds out my sleep series specifically about supplements. And the final supplement that I'm talking about today is not actually a supplement, and it's probably going to be the most controversial one that I talk about, and I get it. We're talking about Ambien. So when my doctor first recommended Ambien, I was like, woo! Like, I had never had it. All I heard was stories about people that were like driving cars in the middle of the night or sleepwalking in the middle of the night or walking out of their house into the street in the middle of the night, like all these horror stories. I can say that I don't think I ever met a single person who had Ambien who said good things about it. So when my doctor recommended it, she could tell that I was immediately like on the defensive, but I trust my doctor and she's helped me tremendously. So I heard her out and she said, yes, people do have those reactions, but it's when you look at the scope of people who have those reactions to people that don't, it's really not as bad as the news and everything makes it sound. Shocker, right? So she prescribed a very low dose for me. And this is again through the lens of she wanted me to have a range of sleep options available. And she described Ambien for me as my get out of jail card. Like, this is when I am up and I cannot sleep for the life of me and I have to wake up in 3 hours to go to work kind of thing. Like, if I've tried everything else and I just can't fall asleep, take the Ambien and that'll help. That's how she described it to me. It's not something that she recommended that I use long-term or all the time. So I was like, okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. I did test it the first night I used it when I didn't have to work because I wanted to see how my body was going to react. So all the caveats come with it. Like, make sure you're going to be in bed 7 to 8 hours. Don't have alcohol before. Don't take it every night. You could get addicted to it. It's a manufactured sleep aid, right? So this is the first one of all the ones we've talked about in this series. All the other ones have been a natural supplement, a mineral, a vitamin. They've all been natural, right? This is a manufactured sleep aid. So this is like heavy duty, the big guns, right? It belongs to a class of medicines called sedative hypnotics, which that in of itself is like scary. So what does it do? It acts on your brain to have a calming effect, okay? Which sounds like all the other things we've talked about, right? This calms your brain activity down, but it gives it like, it's a hypnotic effect, right? So it's not the natural effect that all the other supplements that we've talked about. This is definitely manufactured, a drug that you take to knock you out like within 20 minutes, has been my experience. So I take 5 milligrams and you have to take it like within 20 minutes of when you're going to sleep. It's not like take it and you're going to like read a book or go do chores or like do the dishes. Like, you got to be ready for bed, at least in my experience. Whereas all the other supplements or all the supplements I've talked about, I can take those anywhere up to an hour before bed before they kind of start to like kick in and have an effect, which actually is a point that I don't think I made as clearly as I could have in my other videos. That's another thing that you do have to experiment and play with. Ambien comes in a capsule. It is a prescription, right? You need a prescription from a doctor to have it. My experience with it is to test it before you use it, see how you do. There have been a couple times, so I've taken it maybe 6 times now. Sometimes it works beautifully like a charm and I sleep hard and fast and it's great. Other times I have restless sleep and I don't know if it's specifically because of Ambien or other factors at play. So while I'm not like a big, huge Ambien cheerleader, I do like thinking of it as something in my arsenal that I can have that's heavy duty, that's stronger, that I can use in a pinch. And I will typically use it when I'm transitioning from days to nights, or if I'm coming off a significant stretch of days and need to get back into a shift where I'm waking up at like 2:40 in the morning. So it can become addictive. It's not something that you're supposed to use for prolonged use. But for me, it's like at the extreme end of everything else that we've talked about. So I get that a lot of people are nervous about it, don't want to try it. completely understand. You have to do what works for you and what makes you comfortable. For me, it's like a safety net, the get out of jail free card that I just have just in case. My preference is to use everything else I've already talked about in this video series, because I generally have success with that. But for me, Ambien is like, let's have it, so I have it in a pinch. And in those cases, it's generally worked out pretty well. So what else was I going to tell you? Definitely have a conversation with your doctor about it. You're supposed to take it on an empty stomach so that it absorbs more quickly. Having it on a full stomach makes it less effective. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I think Lunesta is another one. I have not tried Lunesta. But again, I'm not like Ambien's the end all be all, but for me, it's nice to have as another option. So that's my take on Ambien. What are your thoughts? Do you take it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I feel like anytime I've brought up Ambien with people, I get a very strong reaction. So I'm curious your thoughts and your experience. All right, talk to you soon. Thanks.